Hello everyone, my name is Bethany Jarrell and I'm really excited to be talking to you today about our first chapter in the book Organizational Communication for our COMS622 class. As we get started, if you would, please follow along with the presentation. The first page is just a cover, so moving on to the second is the introduction, basically a table of contents where I'll be going over everything in this presentation. We'll start with the definition of organizational behavior before covering managerial contexts and strategic contexts of organizational behavior, before moving on to the contextual perspectives on organizational behavior, analyzing management for effectiveness, and finally coming around to the summary and applications. Moving on to the next slide, we have our definition of organizational behavior as presented in the book by the authors. It is the study of human behavior in organizational settings, of the interface between human behavior and the organization, and of the organization itself. So there's really a three-pronged approach to this definition. Moving on, the managerial context of organizational behavior. The authors present the managerial perspective because they feel like the elements of organizational behavior are best overseen and executed by managers. And most people at this point studying the book are managers themselves, so it's most useful for them from this perspective. Starting with the basic management functions, there are 4 management functions, including planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Planning is the process of determining the organization's desired future position and how best to get there. Organization is the process of designing jobs, grouping jobs into manageable units, and establishing patterns of authority. Leading is the process of motivating members of the organization to work together towards the organization's goals. And then finally, controlling, which is monitoring and correcting the actions of the organization and its people to keep them heading toward their goals. In each of these basic functions, communication occurs, but it's also really important to understand the basic management functions as they are expressed in organizations. Critical management skills. There are 4 major groups of critical management skills, including technical skills, interpersonal skills, conceptual skills, and diagnostic skills. This basically means that managers are able to do the job, understand the job, communicate with the people who are working with them. They're able to picture the future or have a big picture perspective, and also analyze the current situation and make a plan accordingly. And then there was a paragraph on organizational behavior and human resource management. And HRM is essentially the attracting, developing, and maintaining efforts of a department for having an effective workforce. So that was just one little subset of the managerial context of organizational behavior. Then moving on to the strategic context of organizational behavior. Successful business strategies are grounded in creating and maintaining a successful competitive advantage. There are many sources of a competitive advantage. This can include quality or price of product, innovation, customer service, convenience, turnaround time, delivery, and even a well-known brand name. There are multiple types of business strategies, all trying to promote this competitive advantage. These strategies include cost leadership, differentiation, specialization, and growth strategies. For my company, I run a contracting company with my dad. We remodel homes anywhere from just the kitchens and bathrooms to knocking a house down and completely redoing it. And for us, one of the best strategies is the cost leadership strategy. And there's a little subset of this called operational excellence. And for us, this really focuses on avoiding waste, minimizing production costs, and relying on teamwork rather than individual performance to bring about the best results. And then finally, connecting business strategy to organizational behavior. Managers do not accomplish organizational objectives alone. They work with their teams and subordinates to achieve those goals. And then we have the contextual perspective on organizational behavior. Organizations as open systems. This one took me a minute to understand, but essentially an organization has 4 main streams of information coming towards it, or 4 kinds of inputs, as the book put it, coming from its environment. This includes material, human, financial, and informational. The organization's managers should then combine and transform these inputs and return them to the environment in the form of products or services, employee behaviors, profits or losses, and additional information. Effective leaders are able to do this well and generate motivation within their people to bring those things back into the environment as well. Some situational perspectives on organizational behavior. Managers and those who studied management tried to apply a one-size-fits-all kind of perspective or answer to organizational needs. But eventually they learned that different situations were dependent on uncontrolled variables, and they were often subject to people's opinions. So they started finally customizing the experience so that managers could take different approaches based on the environment or situation they found themselves in. And then finally, interactionalism is another contextual perspective on organizational behavior, and this focuses on the people and the situations themselves. Interactionalism attempts to explain how people select, interpret, and change various situations. Basically, the idea is that people and situations are going to interact over an extended period of time, especially at work. And the idea is that interactionalism explains how these people interact with those changes and situations over time. And then moving on to managing for effectiveness. This part of the chapter was really important for anybody who is currently in a management position, because this goes over enhancing individual and team performance behaviors, enhancing employee commitment and engagement, promoting organizational citizenship behaviors, minimizing dysfunctional behaviors, and finally driving strategic execution. And this is really the how-to of managing so that their work and the people who are working with them is it's most effective. One thing that I wanted to point out here was under promoting organizational citizenship behaviors. I really appreciated this point. Because I work in a family-owned company, it's actually very easy for me to feel a sense of citizenship or belonging to our company, whereas other people don't have that experience quite as fluidly. So I really appreciate companies who are able to foster an environment of a sense of ownership or a sense of belonging, especially among people who aren't related to the owner. And then moving on to the summary and application. The summary and application, really this is just a review of everything that was discussed in this chapter. First of all, the definition of organizational behavior is the study of human behavior in organizational settings. It's the interface between human behavior and the organization, and then the organization itself. Studying organizational behavior is important because communication is the central force, tying people together and pushing them towards success or failure based on the quality of understanding and execution. Essentially, for managers, it's really important for them to be able to interact with people to help them feel understood, empowered, and motivated. And these are really key skills in order for people to be their most efficient. And also, a manager's job is to plan, organize, lead, and control the goals, people, and direction of the organization. For our company, we spent the last year going over all of the habits and behaviors of the people in our company and identifying areas in which we could be more effective. So this year we are beginning to execute some of those new healthier habits to hopefully become more efficient in the long run. I appreciate all of your time. There was a lot of content to cover in this chapter, but I appreciate your time and patience, and I look forward to working with you in this class and learning more about organizational behavior. Thank you.